So today I want to talk about a certain vice I've had and maybe still indulge in from time to time, especially with its current influx and expansion on the internet and also its legalization. That topic is gambling. It's a multi-billion dollar industry and it's currently thriving more than ever with streamers, entertainers, and even whole networks promoting it. And now with internet expansion, anyone can go gamble on an offshore casino website with crypto, even if it's illegal where they are. I myself have worked in the industry and seen just how profitable it is, and been on the other side taking chances and seeing just how much it can cause damage financially. And this is strictly about gambling with money, nothing to do with your career or future, because people gamble with their lives every day with the decisions they make, and that's a whole other thing, and quite honestly necessary to move forward with in life. This is strictly about money gambling. The first thing I gotta start with, and I really want to make this clear, is that house, also known as the casino, always, and I mean always, has the advantage no matter what. The only logic you have is odds, and the odds are never in your favor. It's designed to keep you playing, and in the long run you will always lose. The whole thing is give them a little and then take it all. Almost everyone wins a little, gets addicted, and keeps going and going, and that's the incentive, because eventually those odds catch up. And that's exactly how these casinos keep a profit. It's basically a game of suckers. And like I said, I've been on both sides. So there's different types of gambling, the casino games, sportsbooks, or the one-on-one type of things like poker or the dice game on the corner. And I'm going to get to them all, but the point I want to get out the door here is they're all one and the same. There's no talent or skill involved. It's just odds and strategy and especially luck. Now, some people don't believe in luck, but let me tell you, I have seen some strange things in the gambling community. Luck is a whole religion. You wouldn't believe the things some people do to get lucky. It's almost like devil worship in a way, because people of God know that you can't pray to win a gambling match. And the Bible warns you against get-rich-quick schemes and obsession of money. It's basically referring to gambling. The first form I'll talk about is the most common, which is the casino games, where you play against the house with the odds stacked against you in games like blackjack, baccarat, poker games like Texas Hold'em and Pai Gow, as well as slots and even craps, which for some reason people think is a great game to win in and attracts a lot of beginners. It's kind of true because the odds are only 2-1 against you in most cases. But again, in the long run, that's a recipe to lose, and it's hard to find a lot of casinos that have craps these days. But recently online has gotten popular, which really defeats the purpose of playing it because you're supposed to be hands-on with the dice. But it's still one of the easier games to learn, and that's why most beginners go for it. Speaking of easy games to learn, I don't think anything is more simpler than a slot machine, or slot machines in general. Make a bet, hit a button, and the computer randomizes a sequence that spins, and it usually says on the machine if it hits a certain picture and combination, you win this. This is basically what people who really don't gamble go for because they don't understand table games. But just know you're taking a risk against a programmed software. And if you watch my AI video, you should know there's always a narrative program with software. So I want to advise anyone to play big on slots. It's the quickest way to lose because the machine is quick. You can play 6 hands in under a minute, and out of 20, you might hit a couple, usually a small payout. Also, there's a lot of cases where the jackpot hits and the casino will act like the software malfunctioned. And that's because it did. You weren't supposed to hit that. Next is blackjack, another popular game, which people think they can card count in, and that's just a system. It's basically where you count face cards to anticipate when a dealer will bust out with going over 21. It specifically only applies on a single or double deck and depending on who else is playing. Because when the point is for the dealer to get over 21 and bust out for you to win, someone else playing can hit for another card when they shouldn't, and it completely messes everything up. And let's just say you have the perfect setting with a double deck and you're playing with your own hands, staying on them and memorizing them. You still gotta realize there's more face cards than anything in the deck, and the deck won't run out of them before they change it, so the dealer still has the advantage. Now I've seen some people run it up this way, but they lose just as much, and that's what they don't tell you. Eventually it might work for them a few times, and if it does, the casino immediately takes notice, and it's a good way to get banned. Also, these casinos keep in touch with each other, and if you're banned at one place, well, they will put the word out on you, and you'll probably be banned everywhere. Next is probably my game of choice, and that's Baccarat, where you basically have a 50-50 chance with the exception of a tie where your money will push. There's also bonuses on 3-card 7s, 6s, and 8s and ties, which some people just play exclusively for that because some bonuses can go up to a 40-to-1 payout, but it's also a quick way of sucker betting and losing. Now you find out pretty quick that 50-50 is 50-50. It's still hard to break from even, and a lot of veteran players prefer shoes where one side is getting the majority of the hits, because you could run it up when there's a streak for red or blue, but that's how they get you, because you would just keep playing more and more and lose it right back the next shoe. I've seen it too many times. Now, why do gamblers have this obsession of needing more and not leaving? It just shows the greediness in people, and also humans have a tendency of thinking, hey, if I did it once, I can do it again, and that's not always true. There was a story about a famous poker player named Phil Ivey who ran the millions up in Baccarat, but most people don't know Phil had a system in a specific casino where he could actually see under the dealer's card and tell what it was, and they let him reuse the deck, which will never happen anywhere again. And don't expect to be the next Phil Ivey is all I'm saying. Next is the one I indulge in quite often, and that's sports gambling. Pick winners, points, under, overs, player props, and all that stuff where you rely on other people. Now, if you have a bankroll, you could potentially make enough bets where a few of them hit, or you bet on the favorite and put enough money up to make a return. That's pretty much the only way to constantly have wins in sports betting. Because what's the odds of you picking an 18 parlay one time and it hitting? Pretty slim. Even more slim than casino games, but if you place a bunch of different parlays, you could probably hit one. Now, you do gotta know sports. That's the number one key. You can't just pick at random. That's like trying to drive with a blindfold on and expecting not to crash, because I guarantee that you will. These odds makers at these sports books are really good at what they do. So it's really tough to find a sure hit unless you put $1,000 down on a -1,000 favorite, and you will win $100 if they don't choke. And that's why bankroll is the most important thing when it comes to sports gambling. And then again, what if they do choke and you just lost $1,000 all for $100? So that's not really an attractive risk. Another thing, once these sports books see that you have a big bankroll and you are winning something, it's only a matter of time before they ban you. Finally, let's get into the gambling where you're playing against someone else and not the house in particular. The most popular is poker. Poker is the only form of gambling where you could have some advantage through experience, and there's a tad bit of skill involved as well. For instance, you could have a horrible hand and still act like you have a good hand by bluffing and going in, which can also go horribly wrong if the next person's convinced their hand is a winner. But you do see people win on bad hands because they put up the money and they act the part. It's also really competitive, and I would argue the best way to gamble because you have more control of the outcome. There's also different variations of poker where you play against the house, like Texas Hold'em and Pai Gow, but it leaves the house a huge advantage because you're strictly playing against it with house rules as opposed to other players with their own strategy. I will say this though, if you will gamble, learn poker. It's the best way to go, and it can actually get pretty fun because it's so competitive. And I guess the last thing I'll talk about here is rolling dice. It's just janky type of gambling that's not regulated, which is really fun sometimes, and you do gotta know how to release the dice. But the thing to watch out here is who you're actually playing, because in shady environments, shady things happen. Like for example, Takeoff from the Migos was shot and killed because of a dice game gone wrong, and he didn't even have anything to do with the game. He was just around it. So there's two risk factors, safety and the gamble. Just keep that in mind. So in all, gambling is really addictive. To the point some people lose their life savings, lose their car notes, house, you name it. It's a big cause in suicide, and every real gambler knows or knew about someone who killed themselves because they lost it all. My advice would be, if you do gamble, do it responsibly. Our motto is gamble with the money you are not afraid to lose. Just think of it as already gone and basically like a charging fee to play. And just keep it to that budget. Don't exceed it. Don't go getting money out to get your money back, because you will most likely dig a deeper hole. Once the money you plan to play with is gone, just walk away. Trust me. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to help me out. And I'll see you guys on another video soon. Peace.